Podcast, a weekly live show where we explore the power of culture and leadership in business. I'm Ryan McCarty.
And I'm George Rogers, and we go live every week to learn from each other and hear from other experts about how to effectively champion our team members and ourselves. So join us live every Wednesday on our social networks or subscribe. You can listen to Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Now, let's champion your culture.
Yo, let's champion your culture. Man, you got
We
that.
sound so good.
Yeah, well, you got that sexy voice, man.
I've heard that a time or two.
Oh God. I think our listening audience would grow like exponentially if you just start talking.
I just use
like
the
that.
voice.
Yeah, but then again, like I don't know how I would sound. I need it. If I start going low, it don't sound like that. Here, let me try. Hey George, how you doing? I just sound weird, yo.
Good morning, everybody. Afternoon, evening, whatever you're listening to us here on Champion Your Culture, sponsored by Culture of Good. We appreciate everybody joining us here again. Ryan, myself, George, coming to you live. We're back and better than ever. At least we feel better. I don't know how we're looking out there. If you're watching this via video, hopefully we look all right. Sometimes, Ryan, I wish I look like I don't feel, and there's sometimes where I'm feeling good, but I ain't looking good, and I'm like, man, I wish I looked like I feel, because I feel really good. I just don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like ready,
I know.
I'm not trying to please anybody.
I know. Man, if you got a day, though, where you're feeling good and looking good, I mean, that's when you're wearing them shoes behind you right there, the moon boot shoes.
You gotta.
Those are bad though. I like them. Yo, in the culture good. Build a culture good book is right there.
Yeah, it's inside too. So you walking with culture good.
I see. Hey, I see what you're doing. Stop talking the talk and start walking the walk.
Yes, exactly. Hey, while you're out there listening, wherever platform you're listening on, if you would do us a huge favor as we start off the show, make sure you like, subscribe this stream wherever you're looking and watching. We will appreciate that love. If you find that this content and information that we give you is inspiring and or educating or motivating, whichever ing it is to you today, do us a favor. Share it out to your network. Help us grow this, and maybe we'll do a little bit better each and every week. That's the goal, is to be better.
We're hoping so. Yeah, I mean, hey, this is a thing I heard before. It said, "Grow better before you grow bigger."
Yeah.
So we're growing better.
Actually, that comment, and maybe somebody else said it too, but I remember. It seems like forever, man, almost 10 years ago, when we were growing our retail stores in Indiana and Michigan. And man, we were trying to plant flags everywhere. We were just trying to get bigger. And we read the story about Dan Cathy and Chick-fil-A. And when Boston Market, that chicken place came out of nowhere, and they just started popping up everywhere, near and beyond, and they were growing. And the board of directors and the board for Chick-fil-A met, and they were saying, hey, we got to get more doors open. We got to get bigger. And Cathy sat everybody down and says, listen, one thing we won't do is try to get bigger for the sake of growing and taking over our competition. How we will last and how we will leave a legacy is by becoming better. He says, while everybody else is getting bigger, we'll become better, and we'll be here till the end. And man, Chick-fil-A is still popping up everywhere, and I've never seen a short line.
Have you ever driven up to a Chick-fil-A where they have like 6 lanes of traffic, people outside in booths, people running up to your window? I mean, it looks like chaos, but honestly, the amount of cars they get through there, and then you drive up to like McDonald's, and they went with the 2 lanes, but it just means that it takes twice as long now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's like so interesting that when you really work on becoming, how do we move the needle and become better at this, right? The customer experience, the employee, the feeling of connection for employees. I mean, I would imagine that everyone out there is experiencing, the difficulty of finding the talent that you're really looking for and wanting, and those entry level jobs. I just can't imagine continuing to build in
Yeah.
that space, and so many of us are out there doing that. And I think it's just amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have a hard time finding my left shoe, and it's like some of your businesses out there are doing really good. And yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like, what are we building with?
Yeah.
And I think that really does sustain us long term, is like, if we're building with the right people and we're equipping them and giving them the right skills and development and really the ability to succeed.
Yeah.
When we go in and we work with companies, one of the biggest things is, are you giving people the ability and the space to succeed and this really leads into what we're talking about today, is not just employee engagement, but employee effectiveness. Like,
Right.
how effective are our employees? It doesn't sound as sexy, man.
Yeah.
Employee engagement sounds really kind of still sexy. The problem is we're not getting any better at it. We're,
Yeah.
like, so
Yeah, it's a struggle because I think one thing that's certain, but i- and we don't take in consideration is uncertainty. Like one thing that is going to that's going to happen every day is uncertainty. I don't know how Ryan's going to show up. I don't know how George is going to show up. I don't know how the rest of my team is going to show up. I know that they will be here physically, but where are they mentally? Where are they
yeah.
emotionally? Right? Where
Hmm.
where are they at? Financially, and what does that do? How's their family? How's their home life? What was their drive like? Right? All we need
Yeah.
is that one or two slow person, or that person that's blocking traffic to irritate our bones. You know, how are we going to show up at work for people? Right? That's the expectation. How am I showing up for you as a team member? Let alone, we don't think as leaders, how's this person showing up for themselves? Like, where are they at for them? And
Yeah.
are they at peace with their life or where they are at the moment? Right? Today is a very sad day for me, but here I am. I'm smiling and I'm showing up. I'm passionate, but behind the scenes, and Ryan,
Yeah.
I lost we lost a very close friend that I grew up with at the age of 43 unexpectedly last week, and his funeral today. Mentally, I'm thinking about those things. So how do we
Yeah. I know.
show up when
Yeah.
we have to work and we have to essentially perform or do a job or a duty and a responsibility, but things are not always great, right? But I
Yeah.
need to be
Yeah.
engaged. How do I stay engaged? These are some of the challenges I think we face as leaders that we don't really acknowledge and or think about, is that we talk about keeping our employees engaged, but how well do we know our employees? Right?
Hmm.
How well do we know when something's going on? I know how you look when you're stressed out. I know the worry look. I've been around you so long. I know when you're really happy and when that fake smile comes out and the smirking because you
Yeah.
tilt your head a certain way, right?
Right.
I pick up on those things as a
Yeah.
leader. I've
Yeah.
trained myself to really be captured by the emotion, not just the emotion you show me, but the body emotion that your body shows,
Body
because those are two
language,
different.
all that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when it comes to that engagement, it's not just this happy, let's celebrate and do life and work. It's like, when I want you and be engaged, I want you to truly be Ryan McCarty. How the hell are you feeling right now, Ryan?
And
You
that's
know
the
what I'm
only
saying?
Yeah, man. And because that's the only way we can be effective, right?
Yeah.
Is to show up as ourself. And to your point, there are realities that we face outside of work, that there's no work-life balance, it's work-life harmony, and you're really
Yeah.
looking for ways to fully show up and the realities of what's going on around us constantly. And I think, to avoid people showing up just acting like they're present when they're really not, as a leader, we have to really position ourselves to cultivate that relationship and connection and that openness and vulnerability, where people can be open with us, right? Where
Yeah.
when we jumped on a call before the podcast, and I was like, how well are you doing today? And you talked about our buddy there, and it's a lot, man. But a lot of times our team members just show up guarded. They show up knowing they can't fully be themselves. They're holding all that trauma and pain on the inside of them without any opportunity to talk. and yet we're wanting them to be engaged and effective, and we're wanting them to, press into work and be passionate. And there's realities that so many of us are facing on a day-to-day basis. I think you've heard the terminology, presenteeism, I think is what it's called. Is kind of like, I'm present. Um, it's the fake present. It's like showing up, logging in, coming into the office, opening up the laptop, but you're not really there. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And there's a new term called resenteeism. So it's like people that are resenting their workplace and resenting management and authority, um, at in the workplace, because that authority isn't fully showing up in leadership, right?
Yeah.
Because I can give you authority, I can give you position and title, but I cannot give you leadership. You have to choose to show up as a leader and show up for your team members. And I think, many times we don't show up vulnerable, we don't show up fully ourselves as leaders, and therefore our team members never feel like they have, there's that establishment of trust where they can do the same, you
Yeah.
know and sometimes we don't want to like pour our, we think, well, I don't want to be negative at work, I don't want to share what I'm going through and stuff. But sometimes if we're open with people on our team and say, hey, I'm going through this, it opens up an opportunity for them to be vulnerable later on when they need that, and I think we've established, you and I, George, we've known each other for a long time, so we have that kind of relationship. But that does take time too, because like when we reconnected, many of you don't know this, but George and I hadn't even been in each other's lives for almost 20 some years. And when we reconnected, or when I say reconnected, when you reconnected with me and then I reconnected with you, it wasn't like this immediate, like, oh, now George trusts Ryan now, right? Or like Ryan trusts George. It took some time, but we continued to be vulnerable with each other and open and
Yeah.
share what we were going through. And that right there really is the foundation for, not employee engagement. Those are programs. We can talk about employee engagement all day long. You have to have
Yeah.
recognition. You got to know how your employees want to be recognized. There's programming for engagement. When we walked into, Scott Moorhead's office, Scott and I are the ones who started Culture of Good. He's a CEO of, TCC. They have, in their umbrella of Verizon retail stores, have 1,200 stores, and the Culture of Good is built up through them. But when we met with him a few weeks ago, he was like, listen, I'm not even looking for employee engagement. I'm looking for employee effectiveness. Like, I want to
Yeah.
see employees that are effective. But let's talk about that for a second, because we can't just see employees as doers. You know, we have
Yeah.
to see them first human, and rehumanize the connection that we have, and rehumanize our workplace, rehumanize our team, and get to a place where people can actually show up and be themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I think ultimately when we talk about this empowerment, and
Hmm.
engagement, and, when we met with Scott, the effectiveness, right? How do you go from an engaged mindset to an effective? How do we create that? And we talk about those engagements, and there's like, there's ways to recognize and awards and things of that nature. There's companies out there that you can partner with, that do a great job at providing those type of solutions for your team. Even from a data standpoint, knowing your team and where you are in that engagement cycle. And we can talk about, the 9 ways or the 5 ways. We can come up with all these different ways of empowerment and building a strong connection with your team, setting those clear expectations and boundaries,
Yep.
open communication, delegation tasks that help them, stay effective, allowing employees to, make their own decisions, like giving them that lead way, the resources, the tools to be able to get into that, that realm where, hey, they feel like they've been empowered to make decisions, within the guardrails, right? You don't want them just going off the cliff. uh,
Right.
Providing guardrails and
Yeah.
structure that allows them to make a decision, and maybe that decision is not always the best decision, but it is a decision. We struggle with employees making decisions sometimes.
Yeah.
And so empowering them to be engaged in those opportunities. And then, we throw around the word ownership, and we've been talking about this for a while, Ryan, right?
Yeah, man.
How do we get employees to take ownership? And my thing is coming from a owner operator mindset and being in those positions. And I used to say, hey, I need you to be all in. I want you to act and think like an owner. The problem is that I wasn't paying and investing like an owner, right? And so if you're not paying them or allowing them to be invested as an owner, it's impossible for them to work like an owner. I just want to put that out there. No employee should ever feel pressured to be, think, and act like an owner. You're the owner. You're the CEO. You be who you're supposed to be and empower them to be who they are. Now, what they can own and what they do own is something that you should be invested in the most, and that's your culture. They own it. Because how they feel, believe, and behave most of the time is going to dictate the success on the inside and internal side of your business. And when it comes to longevity, and when it comes to the greatest ROI, time, how much time are you wasting trying to replace good people because you didn't want to invest in them and the culture of your business? I'm going on a rant, Ryan.
No, it's a huge cost, man.
Day long.
It's a huge cost. Here's what I want to do.
Ric Flair. Woo!
Woo! What is that? That Ric Flair drop?
Yeah.
And what I want to do, I want to take a quick break because what I want to do the craziest shit in HR, and then when we come back, we're going to look at what does it mean for exactly what you said for employees to take ownership, right? Yeah. Because they won't take ownership of the business alone. What about them taking ownership of the business culture?
Yeah.
That is a component that you just brought up that we'll talk about. What does that even mean? But first, I want to introduce a new segment to Champion Your Culture podcast, and that is the craziest shit in HR that we found this past week. I'm not going to play that again.
That was beautiful. For those people who don't get the visual, you watching us, it was just an introduction that says the craziest shit in HR. All right, here we go.
You heard it. Yeah. And then, okay, so here it is. Have you seen this, man?
I have not.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
I'm traveling for work, this guy says, and instead of eating a fancy dinner out, I've decided to cook a cheaper meal in the hotel room. Even though the hotel didn't have a kitchen, I managed to use a coffee machine to cook chicken and butter and garlic. I swear to God, dude, I thought this was fake. I looked it up. This is real as real can be, man. Although my company allows me to expense dinner while traveling, I wanted to save money because I know that every dollar counts on the P&L. It's the little things that get you promoted. Oh, God. And that, my friends, is the craziest shit in HR.
I just want to see the final product. Like I'm really I need to know who posted that. It looks like LinkedIn. I'm not gonna lie. I noticed the background a little bit.
That's LinkedIn for sure, man. That's 1000% LinkedIn, man. Yeah.
This is what we got to do now. Like, I want to encourage everybody out there.
Yes.
I want to encourage everybody. Send Ryan and I. You can email me personally. I'll put my email out there. You can email me at george@cultureofgood.com. Send me any picture. You got a short video. Send me your message, whatever it may be.
The craziest shit out there.
The craziest thing you've had done in HR. Maybe it happened a week ago, a year ago. Maybe it's happening live. Share that with us. And you could be on the next segment of craziest.
And also, if you get selected, if we select you, we'll send you one of our free shirts. So you get some swag too. So the new Culture Good shirt, we'll send this out to you, but you got to send it to george@cultureofgood.com. Yes,
Allison, saving money.
We're all happy about saving money, but we also want to save our employees' lives. I'm not sure that's the way to do it. So
yeah.
If anybody has some, if it's in your workplace, we won't say it's your workplace. Just send us your stories. We'll post them out. There's some cool stuff going on out there, but I promise you do not want to take a bite of that chicken.
Man, what if it was
Woo!
real tender, man? I'm gonna have to. It was like that person had to be the person who designed air fryers, right? They were like, all I got is a coffee pot.
Right.
What happens if I take this coffee pot and no, it's not happening.
Nah,
I
nah,
can't
nah.
imagine what that chicken tastes like, man.
No, no. It had to have a little bit of that Folgers taste to
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying? And whatever else was in that
Oh
coffee
man.
pot in the hotel room. So
Hey, let's dominate these next 10 minutes. Let's give these people
yes,
some good content, Ryan,
yes.
on employee effectiveness, empowering your employees to really own. And what does that look like for you? Let's open up this
Mhm.
discussion for the next 5-10 minutes and give these people what they came here for. Champion Your Culture is always providing you the best of the best inspiration, content, education from
Yeah.
Ryan
So when we
George.
talk about business culture, again, we're saying how most people feel, believe, and behave most of the time in our business, right? And so when you think about your key stakeholder groups, the three stakeholder groups that we have that Culture of Good focuses on when we go into a company to help develop a leadership development program. So that's really one of the key components that we offer companies. If you're not doing leadership development and you have frontline managers, middle managers, that are leading teams, supervisors. Many times, those people, those employees, team members were promoted, but they were never empowered.
Mm,
Promotion without empowerment is a recipe for failure. And because we've not fully equipped that person to really show up in the capacity that we are needing them to show up in, they may be really great at what they do in terms of the hard skill, and they may be wonderful at it, but be not as good at their leadership skills, right? Leading teams, how to build camaraderie and a cohesive team that's growing and effective. Again, the reason that employees are either effective or non-effective is less about whether they want to be or not. It's more around how have we equipped them and empowered them to be. The glaring gap that I'm seeing within business right now, specifically within business culture, is the manager to leader growth. How do I grow my managers into true leaders?
yeah.
What are the qualities of leadership that I need within the workplace for my employees to be effective? The reason we have ineffective employees and team members is because we have ineffective team leaders.
Ooh, now.
And so we've promoted, but we've
Mhm.
not empowered.
Yeah.
And empowerment is all about thinking of three things. Let's think about it: skills,
Yep.
knowledge, and ability. Skills,
Yep.
knowledge, and ability. Skills, knowledge, and ability. We know it: skills, knowledge, and ability. Those three are how each team member is going to be effective. So when we go in to do this work and help develop out a leadership development process and strategy, not that we lead for a company. There's so many of those, that come and go. We come in to help embed development within a system so that as people are promoted, as they're hired, there's this ongoing individual development that takes place. There's planning that's involved in that, and team leaders are also equipped to be able to lead that development process and that program as they're being developed, right?
Yeah.
We need our leaders to go from a management mindset to a leadership mindset. And
Yeah.
you can have leaders are always going to manage, but not every manager leads. And you have got to develop your leaders. One off leadership training, hiring a company and paying $100,000 for their leadership development training courses and forcing all your employees to go through them. That's training. Training and development are two different things. Develop in the same way that management and leadership is. All development has training, but not all training has development. One-off trainings, video series are great, and we provide those, and those are helpful. but in terms of the ongoing development of your business and the growth of it and whether your employees and team members will be effective, the question that I have for every single person listening right now is, what are you doing intentionally? What strategy and process have you implemented or are implementing for your leaders to be developed into effective team leaders so that their team members then can be developed into effective team members? That is what we're talking about. And if you don't have that, you should be reaching out to George and I immediately. This is not a long, difficult, process of consultancy where we just keep at all these add-ons over time. We're looking at developing organizations that really develop their leadership. That's what we talk about when we talk about a culture of good. We're talking about a culture where leaders are fully invested in developing themselves and also developing their team members.
Yeah, when it comes to, I'm glad you broke down and defined it, the empowerment, because I think there's different perspectives when I think of that, and the competencies of it, like are you healthy when it comes to that engagement and empowering, and when I say healthy, when we talk about healthy engagement, we're talking about the outcome being effective, right? When you have
Right.
healthy engagement, the outcome should be effectiveness. And so you have to have that self-control, that decision-making skills. You got to have those moral systems of belief, and you got to be able to connect with them. But when it comes to truly being effective, and we talk about that ownership, where the effectiveness then bleeds over into your culture. Ryan, I feel like sometimes there's always those hurdles, right, as leaders. And one thing that always gets said is, I'm passionate about this and I want to do it, but, right, there's always a but. And I always say this to leaders: if you ever heard me speak, and or you part of leadership development and training or coaching, I always would say, within the first 2 or 3 weeks, be careful who you show your butt to. Be careful
Yeah.
who you show your butt to, because
Yeah.
the wrong person seeing your ass
Yeah.
could backfire, right? The wrong
Yeah,
person seeing your
absolutely.
butt, whatever your butt is, right?
Yeah.
Like I used to despise, and I still do, when somebody says, George, I love you, but you don't love me.
Yeah.
Everything that you say after but is what you really truly feel,
Right.
right? I enjoy your podcast, but yeah, go, whatever. I enjoy what you said about this, but, well, did you really enjoy? Did you really engage with it? Did it really mean something? Or are you still fighting that? I think we have to get over that hurdle, those, I call them potholes in leadership, where maybe the leader above you isn't a believer, or maybe they're not, they're a manager, they're managing you and not leading you. I've had several people beside me, over me, where they wasn't a strong leader. I had to seek leadership outside the work field, and that's
Yeah.
okay. That's
Yeah.
okay when the leader above you understands their role and their purpose,
That's
and
part.
or the
Yeah.
effectiveness. Like, it's okay to say, hey, you know what, Ryan, I can only lead you this far, and that's a fact, right?
Mhm.
Unless you're a Ryan McCarty or John Maxwell, I'll just put your name right out there with John Maxwell,
I
Craig
don't know
Rochelle,
about
some
that,
of these great
man.
men. I think of Claude Silver over
Yeah.
at VaynerMedia, the
Yeah,
Vayner
man.
team. Incredible leaders, incredible people who love people, like truly care for people, and are leading them. You got to have, you got to be honest as a
Yeah.
leader. How do you go about the struggle? Because that's something that's popped up in a question, is, how do I stay effective with my team when, essentially, as John Maxwell puts it, the lid lifter, I can only go as high as the leader above me. And so
Mhm.
I've taken my team as far as I can. How do I still be effective?
Well, the question is going to be, is you may not be able to be as effective within the organizational ecosystem, but you can be effective within your team. And
Yeah.
so, even within an organization that may not provide for culture of good to come into your organization and do a full development of leadership. And what we essentially do is we help establish, grow, and sustain what we would call a leadership culture,
Yeah.
right? That's a whole separate thing, but we not only do that. So for those companies that may not have that, if you do have personal development opportunities, we provide individual coaching, right? So one of the things that you can do is always be a learner. You can always be growing. Myself, George, we're always seeking out knowledge. We're always seeking out new skill development. We're always asking ourselves, how can I get better before
Yeah.
I grow bigger, right? My team, me as a person, before I'm promoted, before I get there, right, to maybe that next level, or maybe I'm not even looking for that, whatever it is. How do I get my team to be more effective and my team members to be more effective? It all really comes down again to you individually as a leader, and how are you developing yourself and how connected are you to that. At Culture of Good, we do that full ecosystem of leadership culture, but we also provide individual one-on-one coaching, which is 6 months. It's a half hour every other week. And we meet, we base it on your strongest 5 dominant skill sets that you have, your strengths, and we grow from that, and we help you to develop and grow your team from that place. Because once you know your strengths, you can identify the strengths in your team members, and then you can build up from that place. So I would say either look at Culture of Good as an opportunity to establish, embed, and grow a sustained leadership culture as a system within your business. But if you don't have that form of support or that level of support, consider reaching out to myself or George. It's our first name, at Culture of Good. Reach out to us. We have coaching opportunities, one-on-one individual coaching that will take your leadership to the next level. I promise you that it just does. When you have accountability and you have an action plan, you can take that now. And I'm actually doing that with someone. I know we're almost out of time here, but I'm doing that with someone right now. I'm coaching them individually, and they're taking what they're learning and building that into their leadership development for their team.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff, man. And I know we're kind of out of time and I'm still rambling. So here we
Oh,
are.
you're good. I mean, time is of the essence. We still got more time. Let's recap, and maybe we can end this with something. When it comes to, and I'll ask you this question, and it can be the end. Employee effectiveness, and we go to empowering your employees to own the culture. We talk about the effective part of it. And he's live, ladies and gentlemen. He's getting the battery, so it doesn't go down. But when it comes to the culture part of it, owning your culture and taking it to the next level, let's end it with that. We talked about engagement. We talked about empowering, so that engagement goes from engagement to effectiveness. How do we now own the culture? How do you say that in a short sentence to where an 8-year-old can understand?
How do we own the culture? We, geez, George, you throw this at me really quick.
Ooh.
Hmm. Accountability. I'm not sure an 8-year-old knows that, but I really think that we have to feel accountable to how others are feeling, believing, and behaving, right?
Yeah.
In order for me to own the culture, I have to know first what the culture is. I mean, this is a far deeper conversation,
Yeah.
right? Because we're talking values, mission. I go into companies all the time. I can walk down the hallway and ask some of their top leaders, what are your values as a company? And there's just nothing there. I mean, in terms of like whether we're really serious about building a workplace when people really want to do this or not. And it really comes down to, do I feel a sense of accountability, not just to getting a paycheck every other week, but to the very cause and the reason why the business is in business in the first place?
Yeah.
And if that's not been communicated beyond we're in business to make money, if that's not been communicated, I mean, there's no way. They're not taking ownership of something that is blurry, fuzzy, and not been clearly defined.
Yeah.
So the way that people take ownership of your culture is you first have to clearly define what your culture is, why you're in business, and then build accountability tactics within a process and a strategy, so that over time people see that when I am involved and I feel empowered, this is what's in it for me. I feel more connected to my team. I have opportunity for growth within the organization. I have opportunity to be able to impact the workplace, but also my community. There's all kinds of components to that, but really it comes down to, do our employees know why they come to work beyond a paycheck, and what is their why? And how have we curated a culture that helps them discover that? When they discover their why within the workplace, now they have something to take because it's theirs. If
Yeah.
it's just your values and your mission and your ideas, and it's not their mission and their values, it's not connected and it's not their why,
Yeah.
there's nothing to take ownership of, because it's like what you said, we can't ask somebody to take ownership and not pay them as an owner.
Yeah.
Right. So they take ownership over their why they come to work every day beyond a paycheck. That is taking ownership of the culture,
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah. That culture of empowerment.
Took me a second to get there. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. I think the culture of empowerment, it really, and I'll wrap this up with this. I believe I've seen the evidence of the culture of empowerment and where it goes from engagement to effectiveness in an individual. When it happens from an individual to a team in a department, from a team in a department to a company thing,
Yeah.
it unlocks the true potential, not just of the individual, not just of that team, but the true potential of the company. And I think sometimes that true potential of a company is also beyond the vision of the owner. Like, I didn't see this happening. I didn't see this coming together like it is. Why? Because we truly empowered. The culture of empowerment really moved. And when it does that, Ryan, it increases the performance. It promotes well-being. It promotes mental health. It promotes that passion of the why. All these things come in alignment in that establishment of trust beyond work, to trust to an individual in that relationship. Man, that's sustainable growth. That is healthy retention. That is a culture of good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a good plug? You like that?
Hey,
Yeah.
we can't, that's it, man. We can't
Yeah.
have a powerful culture with people that are not empowered to really show up, man, and contribute in ways that are meaningful too, where
Yeah.
they feel like, I'm here. I'm here and I know that my contribution matters, and I know that because I matter.
Yeah.
That leaders care about me, and I just want to end by saying, if you're on with us, and George mentioned earlier in a vulnerable way, just what he's going through, what I'm going through today, and we just want to say that we understand, and just sending love out to all those leaders out there that are really facing their own realities and challenges, maybe at home, relationships, things going on. And these conversations, sometimes we're talking about empowerment, and you got all this other stuff going on, and we just want to send you love right now, good vibes, and let you know that that we feel it today. We're with you, and we're hoping for the best. Good days are ahead, but we know some days are more difficult than others. So George, I love you, man. It's a difficult day for us, bro, but
Yeah.
especially for you, this is it's a lot, man. I just want to
Yeah.
send you love, homie.
I appreciate it. Love everybody out there as well. And listen, it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay not okay.
By
If
yourself.
you are by yourself, yeah. If you are going through something, find a brother, a sister, a friend, a stranger. Find someone. And if you need someone, I'm here.
Yep.
And so, I had a man in my life for over 30 years that said those two words to me, and it still lives true to me. Um, the moment he met me at 8 years old, in every conversation, I know that he's here. So I'm here. Ryan's here. Culture Good is here for your support. We appreciate everybody joining us today here on Champion Your Culture, the podcast sponsored by Culture of Good.
Culture Good.
We hope that you have a great day, a great week, and more than anything, keep on leading the life you love.
Yeah. Lead the life you love. We love you. We'll talk to you. Hopefully we'll be live next week, George. We got some really cool stuff coming up, some guests, and we'll see everybody next week on Champion Your Culture.